G'day, I'm Patrick from Douglas Fir Design. Welcome to the Router Bits. I'm going to use a roundover and a cove bit to demonstrate how to do the join that you use on a folding leaf table. And that's where you've got an extra leaf that sits below your table, can fold up and make a really nice tight joint on the top. So this joint is made with two router bits, cove and a roundover. You have to make sure that the cove and the roundover are exactly the same size, corresponding, so they match perfectly. And then also they have to be the right size for the timber that you're using. So I'm using a 19mm piece of stock for this, and these roundover and cove both have about a 22mm cutting height, so it gives me a bit of play either side. When you're doing these cuts, you've got to make sure that when you've cut them, they're going to match up perfectly, and that's not just about which bits you're using, but how high you set them within the table. And I've decided that my little square lip, which I'll show you now, is going to be exactly 5mm on both of them, and that's what I'm setting. Starting with my cove bit, I place my 19mm stock on the table, I put my little straight edge along right to the bearing, and then I drop my ruler down to the top of the blade, and I'm making sure the gap between the straight edge and the blade is exactly 5mm. Looks like I can go down just a fraction. That looks perfect. So we'll lock that off, do our first cut, and then change the bit over and do our second. Okay, cut my cove profile, that worked out well. Now I have to set my roundover bit to do the opposing piece of timber, and I'm going to set the height of the lip of the roundover bit to correspond with the height of the lip I've created on my cove piece, which is theoretically exactly 5mm thick, but it's most important that I get them to just match up to each other. Alright, perfect. So when we were setting the depth of the cove bit before, we were able to just line up the fence with the wheel. But because the wheel isn't going to be really engaged with this bit, we just have to make sure that the top of the blade is lined up with the fence, which it is perfectly. We can lock that off. We're ready to go. Alright, I've done both of my cuts and it worked really well. It's dead easy to set up. Got those lips exactly 5mm for both of them, and they come together just beautifully with a perfectly flush edge. So you can see why it's such a popular way to create a folding edge on a table. You just need to set your hinges on the bottom there and you're away. You could pick up these Torquata cove bits and the roundover bits from Timbecon, either online at timbecon.com.au or in either of their stores in Perth and in Melbourne.